from the music break, we're going to be talking more about Kevin Samuels and his death, and also the woman that he was with, which is Artemisia Alcantara. His funeral was last week, so we're going to be basically talking about that. And we'll talk more about the case and what allegedly happened that fateful day when he was basically in the apartment with this alleged nurse. We'll come back and talk about it. Long Henderson podcast show starts now. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, hey, quit. I'm not no rapper. I used to be, man. I used to be. I used to be. Gave up on rap, and gave up on rapping. What's up, man? All right, so let's talk about it. Okay, as you know, Kevin Samuel's funeral was last week, and there were some friends that did not show up. Let's see who did not show up. Melanie, um, who claims that she is his friend, she didn't show up. Anton, who says, "Oh, that's my friend," wasn't at the funeral. Dennis Sperling, a struggling attorney slash rapper, who was in an international custody battle, what have you. I think he got some woman from Jamaica pregnant, so they're in a dispute now where the child should stay with him in the U.S. or back home in Jamaica. Didn't show up, and he at Kevin Samuel's funeral. So Melanie King and all these other folks, they were saying, "Oh, this is my friend. This is my friend." Yeah, but you didn't have the money to show back up in Oklahoma to his funeral to participate. There was a spokesman for the ex-wife. They alleged, they said only showed up at the funeral of Kevin Samuels. And you would think that his daughter would have showed up with the ex-wife, but that didn't happen either. So it was kind of like a lot of funny business with this whole situation about Kevin Samuel's funeral. Okay. And then it was like, as we were still waiting for the toxicology report, the ideal here is that they said that they were going to cremate him, right? Right after the funeral. That didn't make sense. Didn't make sense. Where's the toxicology report? It's been 2 weeks now. Well, they said, well, it can take a month or so as well. Right, but why cremate the body? Why have if the family is saying, okay, we're going to cremate the body, okay, so we're looking to say, okay, well, who basically within his surroundings or in his inner circle wants him dead, okay? Because we already know, of course, yeah, you can't hold black women responsible in this country. We know that because white daddies say so, right? But let's look at the fact that we can say also we can suggest that if he was cremated early, that's a sign of somebody hiding something. Okay? What are you hiding that suggests that this person um, should be cremated? And even they saying, well, you can also get from the cremation a toxicology report. But how we know that this man ain't been thrown all over the river right now, as far as the report, right? And so the $4 million estate that goes to a woman that they allegedly say that he's still married to. So she get those $4 million bones, right? She get a part of the estate. Okay. So there was a lot of things about it. We'll get into Artemisia Alcantara here in just a moment, the girl that he was with that night. But I want to talk more about, you know, this funeral, and talk more about um, what his daughter had said. Now, the daughter came out allegedly and said that she did an interview with somebody, and people are saying, well, this is not really his daughter. But anyway, the situation was um, she did not remember who her dad was when she tried to talk to him about certain things, that he would always joke about these issues. Another thing she said is that at one point Kevin, slammed her against the car. And it's like, okay. So I'm listening to all of this and I'm like, well, okay, this is the only two episodes that you remember about your father. See? And it's almost like, possibly the ex-wife got this girl to say this, if this is really his daughter. But that's the only, I'm trying to figure out, if he was in your life, is this the only two things that this young girl can think about her father on? See, that's why it didn't make sense to a lot of people who were listening to it. They were feeling like, okay, is this really Kevin Single's daughter? We don't know. So yeah, that was very weird. Um, so yeah, it did sound like a lot of crap that the ex-wife would have told someone to say. All right, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Right. So let's get into it. So this um, female, Artemisia Alcantara. Now I'm not going to play the 911 tape. You all heard that over and over again from other YouTubers, right? Let's not play that at all. On my channel, I like to get Black folks to think, okay? So we're not going to play that at all, right? We're not going to talk about and discuss the acting that Artemisia Alcantara was doing in that 911 tape, okay? Because, of course, eventually it will come out, the truth will come out, what really happened here, okay? But I wanted to, and I'm not going to play either the last minutes that he was with this woman. You saw that as well. You saw that as well, over and over by other YouTubers. And remember, he was in alive. He was telling the people, he was telling her, hey, I don't want you, no, don't do this. She was still acting erratic. She was trying to get into his life. Okay. Remember, this woman wanted to be a YouTube star. She wanted to be in the same light as a Melanie King. She wanted to really leave the nursing industry and become a famous, I don't know, Instagram model or OnlyFans star, IG model, or even a YouTuber. Okay. That was one of the reasons why she was willing to meet Kevin Samuels, right? And so he kept saying, no, I've already got something planned for this live. I don't want you a part of it, right? And she kept on trying to get into the live, right? And you know, it was kind of weird as to how she was acting. Now, why did Kevin put up with this? There's a lot of reasons why he put up with this. Number one, when you're dealing with an attractive female, a lot of times men become weak. Like when Kevin was dealing with celebrities, such as if you want to call Brittany Renner a celebrity, a lot of people know her, right? Um, or if you're dealing with people like Nicki Minaj, Future, okay? Kevin was not holding these people that we know that's in the public eye responsible, just like he was doing the females um, on his channels. I agree with women on that. Okay, um, so he was allowing this Artemisia woman to just act out because he still didn't want her to leave. He guess this he wanted to really go to bed with her, right? So, there was other YouTubers saying, well, she's acting erratic. I would have kicked her out. You know what I'm saying? But for a man's point of view, he was like, okay, I'm gonna no, I want that poo-tang tonight. So I'm not gonna kick her out. I'm gonna deal with this craziness. You know what I'm saying? Because the more attractive they are, the more crazy they are. And the more crazier they become. So he basically dealt with that, okay, as a way to say, okay, we're going to go to bed now. But I wanted to talk about how erratic she was acting that night. How he kept saying, no, 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 no. If you look at the live, no, 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 no. You see, as one YouTuber described, and I don't be bringing up YouTuber's name on my podcast, okay, but they describe, sound like a woman who had a lot of issues here, okay. She felt this man could help her. We know that her credentials is in nursing. We know that nursing background. We just don't know if she was really an RN at the time that she said that she was on her live. Now, when we talked there about her claiming that she makes six figures as a nurse in the Midwest is where she says she's from. Now that's where she's lying. Okay. If you look at some of the nurses in the Midwest, the amount that they make is anywhere between 21 to about 27 or $31 per hour, or if they're on call, might make a little bit more. So there's no way that she's making six figures as a nurse, not in the Midwest. So when we talk there about the Midwest, we're talking about Oklahoma, which is the lowest paid for nurses. We're talking about Kansas, and we're talking about Wichita, Kansas, and St. Louis. This is considered the Midwest, which have the low pay in almost every industry you can think of. Nurses in Kansas don't get paid as much as nurses in Los Angeles. So this woman cannot be making no six figures. Okay. You see, and so that's the reason then why she was escorting. She wanted to remove away from the nursing industry and thinking I can make more money if I just have a relationship and build it with Kevin like these other women are doing. I can be the first Mexican girl, Hispanic girl, or whatever to basically, be famous. And then that would get all of these Mexican Latino guys to like me more, but they will give me more money, you see. So when she wore her Mexican hat, right? And I thought she was from the Dominican Republic. I could be wrong, but I knew that she was not no Penn Islander or Hawaii, like the police report tried to say. Okay. So now that we know that she have a Mexican hat on, let's talk about the sedatives that she basically had in her purse. You see, is it ironic that this police officer never checked her on her persons of any kind of medicine, any type of sedative like fentanyl? He never basically checked this woman's purse, obviously. No syringes that would have some sedative where she could have poked this man with it, okay? Or put these pills, because fentanyls come in pills. I know a lot of people were arguing, well, if she basically did it with fentanyl, then how would she would did it if it's medication? Well, fentanyl is also liquid. You can turn fentanyl into liquid too, right? If any pill, for the most part, if it's liquid, if it's a pill, you can at some point turn it into liquid, as far as when you put water on the pill and much it up. You could have could have put that in one of his energy drink, which she describes that the heart was palpitating, correct? She also, point B is, she could have also then basically had a syringe filled with the fentanyl. You understand? So a lot of ways that this woman could have done this. Her friend, there was some people, they said it was right there, but I think it was just the neighbors interacting in a sense. Okay. Well, what we understand was it was just not his apartment, that they were at an Airbnb, I think, location. And we don't know all the specifics as whose place it was. But remember, she didn't know the apartment number. Okay. So we can say that safely it could have been an Airbnb where they were supposed to go and just spend a night and do his live at, right? So the thing about this is that there's something suspicious about the toxicology report. Okay. And even though we're waiting on that, like I said earlier, it may take months, because depending on what's going on, it does take months. But I wanted to stay focused on the fentanyl. And the reason why I want to stay focused on the fentanyl is because this is comes from China, but it's also go into Mexico. The article that is written, and I'll give the San Diego Union Tribune credit, and Christian Davis and Sandra Dibble. They did an excellent article that I want to read to you, basically, that builds the connection between Artencia Alcantara and her Mexican roots, okay, based up on her selling supposedly the fentanyl, okay. I'm not saying she was selling it, but I'm saying that certain types of drugs come over to the United States where they do sell this medication. I'm not saying her personally selling it, okay? But she would have also had access to, like I said, any other sedative if she is what she claims to be a nurse and not an escort. Now, we know that she was a nurse, but when she got off from work, her other job was escorting, okay? But let's go ahead and read this article. It brings us into the whole conversation about what she could have used and how sporadic the phenol and other drugs that the Mexican cartels bring over to the United States. This is the reason where we get our drugs that comes into the United States. And black men, they try to call themselves all these little, I'm gonna sell this and all that, and they get caught up into this, where they're getting more time in jail. This is what goes on in the United States. But I want to focus on the Mexican side of it and the Chinese gangsters that brings this over to the U.S. Okay. It says in the article, the San Diego Union Tribune, by Christina Davis and Sandra Dibble, that when narcotics agent raided an apartment 6D in August, they found 1,100 glassine envelopes of the deadly synthetic heroin. Okay, going back to where they was talking about fentanyl laced with cocaine or something like that, right? Synthetic heroin. Now, there was people who said, well, Kevin Samuels was just now getting over addiction, okay? And a lot of people say, well, he had a heroin addiction and cocaine addiction. Now, as you might not know, I stayed in Oklahoma, and I met Kevin briefly before he became famous. And I saw him one time, asking for a cigarette, right? And when he was asking for a cigarette, I knew at that time that his addiction was not heroin. His addiction was not cocaine or all that stuff. His addiction was nicotine. He was getting over a nicotine addiction that he had. Okay, because the cigarette and the nicotine in cigarette is addictive, right? So that's what he was getting over when he said that he had an addiction. The article goes on to say that plus everything else needed for the distribution mill. Boss of bulk fentanyl, stamps, ledgers, gloves, masks, rubber bands, a heat sealing device, and a sun stuffed between couch cushions. The ironic building was a final stop on just one of the what they said illicit pipeline stretches of all the way back to China. So China is where they created the fentanyl. China is where we get all kinds of distribution of narcotics, and we get the distribution of heroin, and we get all of these drugs coming in made and they shipped into Mexico. This is what the article is talking about. We talked there about fentanyl. Going in, it says, falling in one direction, this fentanyl pipeline runs through Mexican cartels, strongholds, and heads north on well-established drug trafficking routes. It funnels 80% of the drugs through San Diego border before dispersing throughout the United States. The pipeline flows in another direction as well, direct from Chinese laboratories to U.S. customers through the mail, bringing small, hard-to-detect packages of extreme pure fentanyl to suburban doorsteps. Okay. Now, even if you can say that this woman did not lace his drugs with fentanyl, she had access to, like I said, any other sedative in a syringe, any other sedative in a syringe, right? If you can put a liquid sedative inside a syringe and then poke a person, that person, based upon that medical, or based upon the body's effect to what you put it inside the body, will immediately cause you to slump over. Okay. So this woman basically had to drug him. You cannot basically just do this. And if you can, with the Red Bulls and the energy drinks that he was drinking, if that's the case, then you would have had a lot of people slumped over. Okay. Now, yes, the Red Bull are dangerous because they have 120 grams, but that is also salt along with another type of chemical balance within the body when you lace it with fentanyl or when you lace it with another sedative. So in other words, you had sodium, which equals salt, and then you put that up against any kind of other chemical thing that basically palpitates the heart. Yes, a person is going to die. But in what we saw in the fentanyl report from the news, I think it was in NBC, one of the white mainstream media did a report on fentanyl. They were able to revive a white woman, right, from the fentanyl overdose drug, right? So, like I said, if she studied nursing at the beginning, she's able to understand what makes a person comes on, to succumb or to put them out or put them to sleep based upon if you sterilize them with some type of synthetic drug or with a sedative that puts them out while somebody's in surgery. So she has access to those types of medicine. Okay. Don't have to be fentanyl. But the toxicology report is very vital because what the toxicology report proves is that any drugs that is in his system that is undetected could basically be how you're going to detect what was used in order to kill this man. That's one of the reasons why they basically wanted him cremated. But even in cremation, you can take his ashes and put it in mixture into toxicology, all types of liquid that will then determine what was the other substance that was in his body tissue. You see what I'm saying? So, in other words, we got it all down when it comes to forensics here. Now, this Artemisia Alcantara was upset with Kevin. She wanted to become a part of his female, co-host, where she wanted to boost up herself to become famous and a famous YouTube star that was going to help her leave her nursing job. And when he said, no, you got to pay me, just by sleeping with me is not going to do it. You're going to have to also still pay me to get you on the road to stardom because we know how hard that Hispanic and a Latino person can keep an American audience. You see what I'm saying? And this was her only way to leave her nursing job to become very famous, and she failed at it. And when he refused to help her, then that's when she go crazy. You see, and he only put up with this nonsense because of how cute she was. And this is the cuteness in your tens is what's destroying these high valued males out here. You see, you can have a beautiful woman, but if she starts to act erratic like this Artemisia lady, then she becomes very dangerous. She can be used by powerful people to bring down a powerful black man, you see. So, what we're saying here is that there's a lot of suspicion here, okay? But when we talked about how this fentanyl is becoming a dangerous drug, we're going to talk about how the drug is in the suburban areas, how the drug is going to be tested to use to get rid of controversial figures like those who are on YouTube, those who are in the public eye. Anytime you say something controversial, these types of drugs are going to be used to kill you off. Okay, harken back to what happened to, like I said, Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Khalid Muhammad. They were poisoned. One of them was poisoned by his own wife. You see, these drugs are used to poison controversial figures. This is one of the white supremacist ways. And even in a sense, when a black person don't like you, they use these types of things, or even an outsider doesn't like you. Okay. And even for a woman like this Artemisia Alcantara, who knows, like I said earlier, how to sedate a person that she doesn't like and kill them, and the drugs not be detected. Now, before we get to that police report, let's go ahead and read more about what's going on. Let's read that again. It says that the pipeline flows in another direction. Okay. Now, where's Artemisia Alcantara? What is that hat that she had on? She had on a hat that says Mexico. Okay. The pipeline flows in another direction, as well direct from Chinese laboratories to U.S. customers through the mail, bringing small, hard to detect packages of extremely pure fentanyl to suburban doorsteps. Both channels are feeding a deadly epidemic, moving a drug so potent that the equivalent of a few grains of table salt can be fatal. You understand? See, this nurse knows that if you put a grain of table salt in with fentanyl and you put it into a energy drink that has sodium in it, it's going to cause the palpitation in the body. You see what I'm saying? That's what killed him. Now, and this article proves to you, let me read that again. Both channels are feeding a deadly epidemic, moving a drug so potent that the equivalent of a few grains of table salt can be fatal. So let's go back and where we learn in in chemistry class, sodium, okay, equals salt, okay, and when basically it's up against something of like chloride or some other types of things would have this fiend stuff in it, you know what I'm saying? And you basically have sodium that equals salt, and then you have chloride and other some type of other type of crystal-like matter and substance. Basically, it causes what? A chemical imbalance. You see, you got to understand what's in the mind and in the body. You see, so now that she knew that this is the basic form of how you sterilize a person, and she can learn that in nursing school. Okay. Now, we don't know if she had that syringe in her purse filled with the sedative. We don't know if she had the pills where she trumped it up or even put it into water and then mixed it up with salt. We don't know because she didn't need the salt. As this article wrote, sodium equals salt. And what do Kevin Samuels drink all the time? He drinks energy drink, which has 120 grams of sodium in it. So if you have 120 grams of sodium, your salt is already in the body. Okay? All you do now need is your crystalline, right? And all of the other chemicals inside fentanyl, where now all you have to do is, either put that in his energy drink, mix it up with water and the fentanyl pills, or you can take your sedative in your syringe and just poke him with them. See, when she said that he, dropped in front of him, in front of her, baby, that's just like a person getting stuck, you know what I'm saying, in the chest with some type of sedative. When she said he, slumped over her. That's just like you just stabbed him or something, and with the syringe little thing, you took that liquid and poured it, and the needle brought it into the body where it enters into the vein. And now you're saying he stumped over you. So the 911 call was very suspicious because she wasn't given any CPR. And the reason why she was not doing that is because she slept with this body in the morning. She already knew that this man had died. Okay. So that's the reason why she was not going to put her mouth on him. He was already dead. When the medicine, when this stuff goes into your body, you fall out within minutes. There's no way that 911 tape that she basically did that theatrical performance that she was basically still with a man who was trying to, to catch his breath. She's lying. And we know that based upon how long it takes that after you basically put this stuff into a body, that the person immediately goes out. Okay? The person just don't go out like, just wait until they go out. The person immediately falls out within 3 minutes of being administered this stuff. This is how you know that the 911 tape that she basically tried to call them does not add up. And she knows this. She knows that she was sleeping on the floor with a dead body for at least 3 hours. Okay. Because based upon the medication. Now, here's the thing. Based upon the liquid that she's placed in his body. Okay. Like I said, if it's a sedative or if it's fentanyl, you're going to go out in a matter of minutes. You're not going to wait and now all of a sudden wake up and say, oh, my body, my chest is palpitating. See, she's lying. You understand? And we know that based upon how long that after this particular person, that after you put this into the vein of the person's bloodstream, it works immediately. So we know she's lying. Okay. Now, the toxicology report, they're taking long on this toxicology report, and there's a reason for this. Okay. It can be that they don't want us to know what really killed him. We don't know. Okay, I'm not going to say that this is a conspiracy. That's what y'all wanted me to say, but I think it's just basically she got upset. Typically if this was a political conspiracy, oh yeah, I'll be all on it. But I don't think this is a political conspiracy. I'm not going to accuse white supremacy on this, okay? And I know all of my white audience like, damn, I'm shocked. That nigger finally admitted that we're not responsible for all deaths. No, but I'm not going to say that this is a political situation. I think this was a woman who got so crazy that she knew that if she used these drugs, that it would cause harm. And she basically carelessly decided that since this man is not going to help me into getting famous, he's not going to help me with my YouTube pages in order to get views and become famous or become an IG model so I can leave the nursing industry, she begins to act erratic and decided that she was going to inject him with a lethal dose of some sedative. And that's how he died. This is the bottom line. And so the thing about this is that the reason why we know this, okay, let's go to the report that suggests that she met him at a restaurant. Okay, let's go back to that. Remember, I talked about that in part 1. I think I did. I don't know. But if I didn't, let's talk about it now. She met him at a restaurant, but how did they hook up? You understand what I'm saying? You can meet somebody at the restaurant, but what was the first conversation? You just don't go to a restaurant by yourself and, hey, how you doing? Sometimes that happens, right? But it's some point that they both just met at a restaurant. You've had to have had a conversation with this woman, obviously, before. Okay, yeah, every now and then you meet somebody at the bar, you talk to them, right. But this woman went back home with him, okay? And I'm not saying that's not possible either when you just meet somebody. But what I'm saying is that they had to have had some type of dialogue prior to her going back to the Airbnb, right? Now, here's the thing. This woman did not know, and the reason why we know it was an Airbnb because she did not know the room number, right? So in other words, this was already a rented situation before Kevin even went to the restaurant. Let's give or take there. So now what we have here is we have this woman coming from the Midwest, and she said Kansas, meeting a man where she claimed that she stayed in Atlanta here. It's kind of fishy, okay? It really is fishy, because you said I'm from the Midwest, but if you stayed here in Atlanta, then you will be working here. And why would you say, well, I'm from the Midwest and I make six figures? Well, wouldn't you be in Georgia right now if you have an Atlanta address or what have you? Okay. Or are you going back and forth? It just didn't make sense. So we knew that the woman was lying. Okay. Now, I would suggest in a toxicology report where they can take these ashes and put it into the substance, like they do these white folks. They help them out to find out what is in their system. I only protest that we can do that for a black man, okay? That was kind of a great figure into our communities. For remember, 2 or 3 years he was talking about black men, saying how we need to do this and do that. It is only he became controversial when he started trying to say, hey, you black women, y'all need to, start to do this and take care of your body if you're going to get a high value man. That's all he was saying, You either took it or you left the criticism, okay? So here's the thing here. They're saying, oh, this toxicology report can take weeks, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. If it takes weeks or takes months to get this report back, I want to see what happened in his system. There's a lot of ways that this could have been in his system. You see, when you talk there about the addiction, Kevin was not addicted to no damn cocaine. Okay, if he was addicted to the cocaine, he would have basically been acting erratic on most of his lives. He was only acting erratic on the last live, where he was like, no. Hey, whoa, no, don't do that. I'm trying to protect. He was only acting erratic on that last live, which indicated that somebody did something at that point. You understand? He wasn't acting like that in other live views, okay? So I'm kind of eerie, okay? And the so-called neighbors, what he's talking about in the Airbnb place, they were also over there. They were also knew about these people coming over there. See, they know a lot. They're not saying a lot too. So we don't know who was there. But we do know that the neighbors was there or whoever were renting out another Airbnb. Those people are suspicious too. Okay, it's not just this woman, this Alcantara woman. And then they said that DJ Academics, I hope I said that name right, DJ Academics claimed that this woman says that I want $5,000 to do an interview with her for, about the situation. And allegedly the girl came on and said, no, I didn't reach out to this guy, this DJ Academics. I don't know what he's talking about. They didn't charge nobody $5,000 to do an interview regarding Kevin Samuels. All of this is suspicious to us, okay? But this has always been a way that to kill prominent figures in the black communities. We're not surprised about this. Like, let's go back. Amos Wilson was killed this way. Khalid Muhammad was killed this way. See, we always had our figures murdered based upon poison. Okay, this is not new. Okay, if they have not tried to shoot and kill them, they have often poisoned them. See, and the responsible thing to do if you're going to take a woman out like this is that you go to the restroom before you order your drinks and your food, because you don't know what these folks are putting in your food as well, you see. So I'm very suspicious. I'm very eerie about what this toxicology report. Now, there was a toxicology report that came out that says that he died over an overdose of cocaine laced with fentanyl. Now, even though fentanyl can be compounded into cocaine, if you turn it into liquid or if it's in a substance of a medicine substance or even a small substance, we don't know when you say laced with fentanyl. But what we do know is that that report was out there that Kevin was on cocaine and that he basically took some cocaine, blah, blah, blah. And that's how he got it. No. Okay. As I told you, yes, he was addicted to something, but it was not cocaine. Kevin was getting over an addiction to nicotine. Okay. I know this because I met him in Oklahoma one time where he was smoking cigarettes all the time. Okay. Addicted to nicotine, not cocaine. Okay. Let's go on finally to talk about the issue here. Going back to this Ortencia Alcantara woman. This woman has refused to talk, said that she hired an attorney, claiming that she basically, if she is charging people $5,000, obviously the mainstream white media doesn't want the story because I guess they would have paid her that much money to get the story. But this woman is lying, okay? There's no way that she was not only giving him CPR, but there was no way that he was still alive when she basically called the ambulance. No way. This woman, he was still unconscious at that time and was headed to death, okay? Because if you don't revive a person within a decent amount of time, then a person then succumbs, and then now here comes death, okay? And then the rigor mortis starts to set in. And when she said that he turned blue, we already knew that he was dead, right? When she made that claim. That means that the rigor mortis is starting to set in. And so what she basically lied about is that she was trying to revive him, talking about, come on, Kevin, think about your family, blah, 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 blah. She's lying. The man was already dead. Stop playing, okay? And then this rumor that when they went to Piedmont Hospital, he came back and all that. No, there was, like I said, when they revived that white woman who basically had an overdose of fentanyl. Remember, that only happened in a matter of time where the ambulance got there just in time, and they gave the woman some type of other sedative that cleared out I guess, the fentanyl, and she was able to be, come back. They brought her back to life, right? After being sedative, after being succumbed to fentanyl. And that's the story we were talking about earlier. And they were talking about as well on other YouTube posts where they saw this happen, right? That's the only other story that we know where a person who succumbed to fentanyl was ever revived. It was a white person, okay? So go fetch. No pun intended, okay? So yes, you're reviving the white people, but you're letting the black people die. And see, this is the reason why we need our own hospitals. Because if we are basically relied upon white people's hospitals, then they will elect to either say, no, let that nigga die. If he's controversial, let that nigga die. Oh, but if it's some old bootlicking Negro or somebody who is basically someone they need, oh no, try everything you can to revive that person. You see what I'm saying? See, that's the reason why you can't have white people running everything, because I would not have no problem with a white person being racist. If that person came to my hospital and said, I need your help, I'm a revival. I don't care about you being racist towards me, right? And I will make sure as a doctor that there's everything that I can do to revive you. You know what I mean? But when you go into these hospitals like Grady and Sinai in Los Angeles, you see every state got a hospital that you just don't go to. You see what I'm saying? And that's the reason why you have to pick your spouse very clearly, because black women always talk about, well, you go get a checkup. Like, girl, go somewhere. You know, you know what I mean? These hospitals are not our friends at all. Okay. So that's the reason why a lot of us say, oh man, we can't be going to a lot of these hospitals, because they basically will sit there. They know that the nurses are making a mistake or the doctor make a mistake, and they would sit there and make a mistake and try to cover it up as if you had something, and then turns around and say, okay, yeah, they'll try to cover it up and say, yeah, he died of cancer, died of this, died of that, the heart, this. They can't explain why the person died, but they just know that he's dead or she's dead. And that's the issue here. A lot of people fundamentally can be revived. It's just like with a lot of people who get shot, a lot of them can be revived. Okay, for instance, like Dr. King, he got shot, I think, with an AK-47, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was a big old rifle that basically put him under unconscious, right? And it was some white supremacists who we understood went into the hospital and smothered him. He was still alive even after being shot with a rifle. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on if you can make it in time to revive the person, giving the person CPR. Now, some people, yes, cannot be saved. But we're talking about these instances where these EMTs make mistakes, these hospitals make mistakes, and they're choosing and picking as to who they're going to revive and who they're not going to do it. But so, like I said, I'm skeptical about this woman. I'm kind of eerie about this case. You know what I mean? Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Join me tonight. Hopefully, we're going to be talking about this white supremacist in the situation and the mass shooting in Buffalo. We're going to be talking about that tonight. Hopefully, I can do that tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, this white supremacist, he came and shot up the stores. We'll be talking about these white boys going out here shooting and killing black folks. And Jim Crow Joe Biden don't want to give us a hate crime bill. He went out there, as he always do, you know, try to pretend like he's speaking to black folks. You know how white folks do when they're in these offices? They're trying to pretend like they are for you and they are actually against you. But yeah, we'll talk about the mass shooting where these black folks died at this store in Buffalo. He came into this. We know that this dude is a coward because he came out. Well, he went into stores where old folks were shopping and women were shopping. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people are saying, the law enforcement had to tell them about that store. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about it tonight. That's it. Hit that thumbs up, like, share button. But we'll stay on this case. We'll also talk more about it as a toxicology report comes out. Like I said, they're stalling with this toxicology report for some reason. We don't know. But if it takes 2 months, sometimes it can take longer. So, all right. So we'll basically say, okay, if it takes 2 months, let's give them 2 months to do their job. You've been listening to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Like I said, tonight or tomorrow, we'll be talking about the mass shooting in Buffalo. Have a nice one.